really short video on like the right way to do pigeon, you know, and I already did that for you. I explained that it really depends on the purpose. But when I was sharing on social media that I was going to be releasing a little video on pigeon, I got all this other feedback and comments and questions I'd kind of forgotten about. I forgot how loaded pigeon is. So I wanted to answer or address some of those concerns in this follow-up video. The first one is about protecting the knee and pigeon being risky for the knees. And I hear that a lot. I've kind of forgotten about it, like I said, but yes, I understand that. Pigeon pose can make the knees kind of sensitive. So you might have heard things like flex the foot in order to protect the knee. You might have heard that. Really what it means more accurately would be flexing the foot to put some tension across the knee joint. When you flex the foot, you activate the muscles of the lower leg across the knee joint, so therefore you're creating tension around the knee joint, and it tends to make it feel more stable, hence the cue to protect the knee. I don't think it's quite injurious, pigeon pose in of itself, but it definitely could make things sensitive, especially if you don't have the range of motion that I talked about in the previous email or the previous video, and then you end up, because this is all too constricted, you end up just bailing out of the pose entirely, leaning forward onto it, and now you're resting your body weight on this knee that is possibly in a little bit of a rotated, twisted position, which in and of itself isn't bad, but you're just kind of hanging out there for a little while. And if you've studied any of my work and you've taken my courses, and you're there for a minute or so, there might be a little bit of creep happening. And so there could be all kinds of signals going to the central nervous system about things happening in the knee, sensation in the knee, perceptions in the knee that could make it quite sensitive. I was one of those people many years ago. Another thing that came up was pigeon as a solution, I don't want to say treatment, as a way of supporting or helping someone with sciatica. And that's a big claim to make, if you ask me. I've heard it before. I've heard it actually a lot, especially in my early years of teaching. I don't really hear that stuff anymore. That's based on a principle that is kind of hard for me to grasp. It's a hard pill for me to swallow. I think the idea is that would come from the piriformis muscle compressing down on the sciatic nerve, and that the piriformis muscle in pigeon gets stretched, ergo, if you have sciatica, pigeon is a good pose to do. In theory, sure, makes sense, but as it is with the human body, and often in many cases with science, what we think is logical turns out to not be able to be proven, and in many cases can actually be proven false. There's a lot of assumptions being made there. First and foremost, that the sciatic nerve, which is like a thick cable, you know, it's probably the width of my thumb, that the sciatic nerve can be compressed by a little tiny muscle, like the piriformis, to an extent that it would cause significant nerve pain. Yes, of course it's being compressed, but the things are compressed in the body all the time, things are impinged in the body all the time. It just, why this muscle and this nerve, why do they have such a disagreement in their relationship when nerves run through muscles all the time throughout the body? So that's a big assumption to make. And then the other assumption is that stretching would change that stretching would decompress the nerve, when really muscle if you're stretching it, you're probably even, just think of it structurally. In any case, I would say concentrically contracting and shortening would make the muscle bulge, and maybe that would decompress. You know what I mean? I'm just like trying to rationalize it. It's definitely not something that we have been able to explain in the literature. So it's not something that's like been researched per se. I think, again, it's just been an assumption that's been made and passed on. That said, if you experience sciatica and you like pigeon pose, by all means, enjoy it. That said, if you have sciatica and pigeon pose exacerbates it, then by all means avoid it. It's just not such a simple if this, then that. I'll follow up with yet another video if I get comments, questions, concerns, and if not, then we'll move on to a new topic next time. Take care.